You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Well, hey folks, happy Thursday. Welcome to the Intrepid radio program. This is Scotty Roberts, and I'm your host over here on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. And you can watch the video simulcast of this broadcast over on my YouTube channel. And that's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. Come on over, watch the video, listen to it alongside the broadcast, and join the chat room. That's one of the best features of coming over to the YouTube channel, is you can join the other Intrepheads, a whole family of friends and people that have come to love the show, and you're going to enjoy talking with them and talking about this show tonight over in that channel. So youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. And I would like to continue on what we kind of left off on 2 days ago. We were talking about conspiracy theories, talking about why we believe in stuff, and especially now, in a day and age, that's a very cliche way to put it. I don't mean it that way. Today, in the situation we are in this time, something that's different for all of us. We've never gone through this kind of thing before. These kinds of pandemics, national, international crises, tend to raise a lot of conspiracy theories in our head. So rather than look directly at the conspiracy theories behind the pandemic, I want to look at conspiracy theories in general. Why do we believe them? Now, a conspiracy, there's nothing wrong with believing. There it is. I'm putting a faith element to that just by saying it. Do you know, when you say to somebody, do you believe that this is going on in our government? Belief isn't what's required. Belief is an element of faith. You put your faith in something, you believe it. We want to know facts. We want to know what's going on. We want to know truth, as opposed to putting my faith in something for maybe which there is not solid evidence. And so that is the basis of some of the conspiracy theories we run into, and that's the element I want to look at. But if we look up just right now, I'm just going to do it right here in front of you. What is a conspiracy? I'm going to just type it in and put in conspiracy. It's a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. Or it's the action of plotting or conspiring. That's the simple definition of what a conspiracy is. Now, if I want to step further and I type in conspiracy theory, it's a belief that some covert but influential organization is responsible for a circumstance or event. They sought to account for the attacks in terms of a conspiracy theory. And so a conspiracy theory is something that it's an explanation of an event or a situation that invokes a conspiracy by sinister and powerful actors, often political in motivation, and when other explanations are probably more probable. That was redundant, probably and probable, but you get the idea. And so the term has a pejorative connotation, implying that the appeal to a conspiracy is based on prejudice or insufficient evidence. Conspiracy theories resist falsification, and they're reinforced by circular reasoning, both evidence against the conspiracy and an absence of evidence for it are reinterpreted as evidence of its truth. So that whole circular argument, well, you can't prove it's not true, that's really a faulty those are faulty foundations on which to stand when you're presenting a premise of any kind of theory. especially conspiracy theory. But research suggests that conspiracist ideation, belief in conspiracy theories can be psychologically harmful or even pathological. And that's highly correlated with psychological projection, paranoia, Machiavellianism. Machiavellianism, look up Machiavelli, and you can see his The Prince if you read some of his work. So conspiracy theories, once limited to fringe audience, have become commonplace in the mass media right now, emerging as cultural phenomena of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Right now, if you go to the news, you will see in politics all kinds of conspiracy theories, though they're not always called that, are presented in the news to either sway the masses to believe something in one direction or another. And so the Oxford English Dictionary defines conspiracy theory as the theory that an event or a phenomenon occurs as a result of a conspiracy between interested parties, specifically a belief that some covert but influential agency, typically political in motivation and oppressive in intent, is responsible for an unexplained event. It cites a 1909 article in the American Historical Review, so we're talking 110 years ago this article was written, as the earliest usage example. And although it appears in journals as early as April of 1870, the word conspiracy derives from the Latin con, with or together. That's why you get the words, not necessarily a con man, you get the word with or together from convention, things like that, with or together, and spirare, to breathe. So it's to breathe together is the idea. Robert Blaskowitz, Bob Blaskowitz, he's a friend of mine. I have met him. He came to the first Paradigm Symposium, and he writes. I believe it's for. He's a college professor, but he writes for, I think, the Skeptical Inquirer. But he notes examples of the term were used as early as the 19th century and states that its usage has always been derogatory. According to a study by Andrew Mackenzie McHarg, in contrast, in the 19th century, the term conspiracy theory simply suggested a plausible postulate of a conspiracy. Meaning, now a conspiracy, we all know what a conspiracy is. A conspiracy doesn't have to have a negative connotation. In other words, a negative, weird connotation. You can conspire to do something. There were plots conspired to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. There were plots conspired to do this or do that throughout history. And so it suggests a plausible postulate of a conspiracy and did not, at this stage, carry any connotations, either negative or positive. And though sometimes a postulate so labeled was criticized. Lance DeHaven Smith suggested that the term entered everyday language in the United States in 1964, the year in which the Warren Commission shared its findings with the New York Times, running the 5 stories that year using the term. And it all really kind of became into vogue after the JFK assassination. So conspiracy theory isn't just simply a conspiracy. Barkin writes that conspiracies are actual covert plots planned and or carried out by 2 or more persons. A conspiracy theory, on the other hand, is an intellectual construct, a template imposed upon the world to give the appearance of order to events. So positing that some small and hidden group has manipulated events, Illuminati, hidden hand, so on. What's the not Burker Builders? What the hell are they called? It'll come to me in a second. Some of the even groups where they've got the big owl statue and all that on some island, and all the politicians went there. I know Alex Jones talked about Alex Jones, the king of conspiracy theories, or at least promoting them, talking about them, examining them. So positing that some small and hidden group has manipulated events, a conspiracy theory can be local, it can be international, it can be focused on single events or covering multiple incidents in entire countries, regions, periods of history. Conspiracy theorists see themselves as having privileged access to special knowledge or a special mode of thought that separates them from the masses who believe the official account. So the conspiracy theory generally is something that is posed or posited or opined about or presented to you as an alternative to what the going line is or what the official stance might be. There might be an official stance that says Lee Harvey Oswald shot John F. Kennedy in the head from the book depository building in Dallas. The conspiracy theory would be Lee Harvey Oswald was part of a bigger cabal, a bigger group that set him up, and there was more than one shooter, and there was an international cabal that was set to destroy JFK because he was going to uncover certain aspects of the hidden hand and of the... That's a going conspiracy theory, even though I haven't spelled it out in great detail. That's the conspiracy theory that's put on top of the accepted thing. It's not necessarily stating it's wrong, but that's what a conspiracy theory is. The problem is it's usually not, you're not able to evidence it. You're not able to present facts about it. A conspiracy theory might take any matter as its subject. Think of JFK, think of the moon landing in 1969. Think of just about anything out there like that. It can take any matter as its subject, but certain subjects attract greater interest than others. Is the U.S. government covering up the fact that we have aliens living on this planet and that we've been visited by other worldly beings? Are we hiding those things? Area 51. Look at all the conspiracy theories built up around that. So I'm not saying that there may not be some truth to a conspiracy theory, but that a conspiracy theory itself, in defining it, is something that sets differently, presents an alternative against the going explanation of a thing or presentation of a thing. Favored subjects include famous deaths, famous assassinations, morally dubious government activities. I remember when, who was the Supreme Court Justice, Scalia, that they found dead. They said, and it was just a few years ago, and found dead at I don't remember the details off the top of my head. This just popped into my mind. But he was found dead, and then they say, well, he was found with a pillow over his face. And began the conspiracy theory. He was murdered. He was assassinated. He was taken out by some cabal. Now, is there truth to that? Maybe. We don't know. But it kind of died out, and we never heard much about any investigation into his death. So, morally dubious government activities are another one. Suppressed technologies. False flag terrorism. Rocky and I had Jeff Hunt on last night, and we were talking about how Apple and Google have banded together to create technology in the phones that are built in that can track people. They have codes, numbered codes for coronavirus stuff and all of that. Now, that can be a fact, but there could also be a conspiracy theory that builds behind it. And so false flag terrorism is another. And among the longest standing and most widely recognized conspiracy theories are these notions concerning the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the 1969 Apollo moon landings, the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Was it just terrorists in planes who pulled this off? Was the building pre-rigged with explosives? And you've heard all the theories. Did George Bush know about this ahead of time? And so there's numerous theories pertaining to alleged plots for world domination by various groups, both real and imaginary. I'm going to destroy the world unless I get $1 million. So scholars have always argued, since the inception of conspiracy theories, that once limited to fringe audience, they become commonplace in mass media. watch CNN and look for a conspiracy theory. You're going to see it around every person who opens their mouth. And contributing to conspiracism is the mass media, emerging as this cultural phenomenon in the United States in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. And the general predisposition to believe conspiracy theories cuts across partisan and ideological lines. Conspiratorial thinking is correlated with anti-government orientations and a low sense of political efficacy. With conspiracy believers perceiving a government threat to individual rights and displaying a deep skepticism that one who votes for really matters. Now, according to anthropologists Todd Sanders and Harry West, a broad cross-section of Americans today give credence to at least one or some conspiracy theories. For instance, a study conducted in 2016 found that 10% of Americans think the chemtrail conspiracy theory, chemtrails, those trails you see in the sky, deposits from airliners or jets, are completely true. And that 20 to 30% think that it's somewhat true. So this puts the equivalent of 120 million Americans in the chemtrails are real camp. So belief in conspiracy theories has become a topic of interest for sociologists, psychologists, and experts in folklore. Conspiracy theories are widely present on the internet in the form of blogs and YouTube videos. I see them all the time. Do you know how many conspiracy theory videos I get sent every week in my emails, in my messenger, and so on, from people who are sharing conspiracy videos? And it's social media, especially. Look at all the groups out there. Just look for conspiracy theory groups out there on social media, and you're going to find them. They may not all be called that. They might be in their specific category. Aliens, UFOs, blah, blah, blah. Governmental, QAnon, and so on. Now, whether the web has increased the prevalence of conspiracy theories or not is an open question that really probably isn't as open as you might think, because you look at all the bullshit that's spread on the internet and especially on social media, and you get the idea. So the presence and the representation of conspiracy theories in search engine results have been monitored and studied, showing significant variations across different topics and a great absence of reputable, high-quality links in the results. When I was writing my book on the reptilians, I stated in the manuscript as I was writing, I was typing away, and I thought I'd go Google the reptilian aliens. I put those two words in and I hit Google, and it might even be different now, but I could do it right now. When I did this in the book, I even put in the manuscript, I said, I just put in the term reptilian aliens, got over 1.2 million results. Now, this is 343,000 results. No, 1,310,000 results just now, right now, as of today, if you put in reptilian aliens. And one thing I found, I went through the top 10 of those, and I found that in the top 10 on that first page, every one of them said almost the same identical thing about reptilian aliens. It looks like they all copied each other or copied from a common source, but nobody, not a single one of them, stated a reference for a source point. Yet they all had the same paragraphs and the same words describing reptilian aliens on our planet and a history for them. And so, to me, that's a conspiracy theory. They're spreading information without giving you factual or evidentiary source points. So, in looking at conspiracy theories, the definition of and what they are and where they are, where you can find them, the big question comes up: why do people believe in conspiracy theories? Is there a need to find order in a confusing world? And we do that through conspiracy theories. And again, let me put in this caveat. I am not saying, nor do the studies state the veracity of every conspiracy theory, meaning, is it true or false? It's that we need these things that sometimes don't have evidence. We put complete belief in them. Now, it seems that every family has an Uncle Joe. The guy, and I'm not talking about Joe Biden, although I think a lot of families have some of those. But every family's got this Uncle Joe character, the guy who goes on and on about conspiracy theories at the holiday dinner table. The 9/11 attack was orchestrated by the government. The moon landing, that was filmed in Hollywood by, who was the famous producer? I'm not thinking of his name now. 2001: A Space Odyssey director, Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick created the moon landing on a lot in Hollywood. Oswald didn't act alone in the Kennedy assassination. And don't get me started on global warming. So record low temperatures this Christmas, and you expect me to believe this world is actually getting warmer? Give me a break. So maybe we should give old Uncle Joe a break, or at least try to understand where he's coming from. Why do some people believe in conspiracy theories anyway? And this is exactly the question posed by British psychologist Karen Douglas and her colleagues in a recent article in the journal Current Directions in Psychological Science. Now, I'm sure you don't all pick up that journal, so I've gleaned some information from that. The researchers found that reasons for believing in conspiracy theories can be grouped into three categories. All right? 1, the desire for understanding and certainty. That's the underlying desire. 2, the desire for control and security. And 3, the desire to maintain a positive self-image. Now, let's look at each one of these. The desire for understanding and certainty. Now this is reasons that people believe in conspiracy theories. The desire for understanding and certainty is number 1. Seeking explanations for events is human natural desire, or natural human desire. We're constantly asking why things happen the way they do. It starts with my kids. Why is the sky blue? Why are the leaves green? Why is the grass green? Why do birds sing? And so on. There's something behind that. I want understanding. I want clarity. And if we don't offer them good explanations, they're going to make up something, It's like I've said before, it's obvious where the stars came from. Why, the great beaver in the sky was flung into the air by the great warrior, and she gave birth to the cosmos, and the afterbirth was the Milky Way. Duh! So we come up with our own reasons. This is where mythology started, was as conspiracy theories, if you will. So we're constantly asking why things happen the way they do. Why does it have to rain the day I want to go out? There's a conspiracy against me. Why did she give me the cold shoulder like that? Why can't you understand what I'm trying to tell you? These are all things, and we don't just ask questions. We also quickly find answers to those questions that are not necessarily the true answers, but rather answers that comfort us or that fit into our worldview. It's raining because I always have the worst luck. She gave me the cold shoulder because she can't stand it when she doesn't get her way. Couldn't just be me. And you can't understand what I'm saying because you're just not smart enough and you're not listening. It couldn't be the way I'm explaining something. So we all harbor false beliefs. That is, things that we believe to be true, but in fact aren't true at all. And so we got to cut out to break, and we're going to come back and we're going to pick this right up where I left off. So we're out of time in the first segment. Sit tight. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. All right, folks, we're back. Thanks for hanging on through that break. This is Scotty Roberts. You're listening to my program, the Intrepid radio program, right here on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. Come on over, find all the shows in their lineup 24/7. See all the goodness that is Odyssey Radio. Find out all the outlets where you can hear this program. You can also come and watch the video simulcast on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. And join the live chat room over that's going on right now during this show. Whole family of Intrepids that are willing to share their ideas, and they're a great family of friends. They've become a lot of close people over there that are followers of this show. So go on over, join that group of people, and listen in and watch. There's nothing too exciting to watch. It's just me talking. The best part of the YouTube channel is the chat room. So come on over and join us. Now, we're talking about conspiracy theories. We're talking specifically, why do people believe in conspiracy theories? Why do we have these things? And we're all talking, I started talking about that the first point. There were these 3 points of why people believe in conspiracy theories. 1 is the desire for certainty and understanding. 2, the desire for control and security. 3, the desire to maintain a positive self-image. And so in starting to break these down, look at the desire for understanding and certainty. And we all have questions. We have questions. Our kids have questions of us. We've had questions since we were kids. We question things, and when we don't get the kind of answer we want, we'll kind of start believing in things that we either think or we create or we hear out there. Oh, well, maybe that's the reason. So we all harbor false beliefs. I think the smartest of people out there can harbor a false belief about something. That is, things that we believe to be true, but in fact are not true at all. For example, if you believe Sydney is the capital of Australia, you're the victim of a false belief. But once you've confronted with the fact that Canberra is the capital of Australia, you'll readily change your mind. After all, you were simply misinformed and you're not emotionally invested in it. So that's an incorrect belief. And we can all have false beliefs about something. And it's easy. Once we're corrected, we're like, oh, silly me, I didn't know that. So conspiracy theories are also false beliefs by definition. But people who believe in them seem to have this vested interest in maintaining them. First, it would be like if I wanted to say that Sydney was the capital of Australia, and I found out Canberra is, and I said, no, I got to give you my evidence of why I believe Sydney is actually the capital of Australia. They defend those false beliefs. First, they put some effort into understanding the conspiracy theory explanation for whatever event it is, whether by reading books, going to websites, watching TV programs, going to the internet that support their beliefs. And uncertainty is an unpleasant state. And conspiracy theories provide this sense of understanding. And certainly that's comforting. So when we don't understand, the big questions of aliens or JFK's assassination, moon landings, we sometimes find a great understanding and comfort in the weird notion that's out there. Hey, I didn't get a really good explanation for this thing, but this sounds really good. And we invest our time in it. It brings us, innately, deep down inside, maybe subconsciously, comfort and understanding. The second one was the desire for control and security. People need to feel that they're in control of their lives. And many people feel safer when they're the driver in the car rather than the passenger. I'm one of those. It's like I never backseat drive. I tend to ignore what the driver's doing. It's not my business. You drive, it doesn't matter. But I feel more comfortable when I'm driving. It's like car sickness. I can get car sick in the back seat of a car. I just don't like the motion sickness. But I prefer to drive for that reason. So, many people feel safer that way. And of course, even the best drivers can get into accidents. that are for reasons beyond their control. So, likewise, conspiracy theories can give their believers a sense of control and security. In a sense, you're at the driver's seat. You're kind of controlling this information that's been presented to you. And this is especially true when the alternative account feels threatening. For example, if global temperatures are rising catastrophically due to human activity, then I'll have to make painful changes to my comfortable lifestyle. But if pundits and politicians assure me that global warming is a hoax, then I can maintain my current way of living. It's the same way the other way around, by the way, with global warming. If global warming is a natural thing, then my political agenda of trying to make people lessen their green footprint and believe in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's 12-year prediction for the end of the world, or is it 11 years by now? Anyway, we can believe in other theories. And so this is kind of a motivated reasoning. It's an important component in conspiracy theory beliefs. And many times in the whole global warming thing, both sides of that issue rely on their own conspiracy theories as opposed to pure science. Science that examines these. And the science is even controversial and contradicts each other. How can you have science contradict itself? It happens. Look at that issue. The third one was that positive desire to maintain a positive self-image. Research has shown that people who feel socially marginalized, meaning you're not out there, you're kind of in the fringes out there, are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories. We all have this desire to maintain a positive self-image, which usually comes from the roles we play in life, our jobs, our relationships, our families, our friends. When we know we make a positive difference in the lives of others, as a parent, a spouse, a friend, a teacher, or a mentor, we see our own lives as worthwhile. And we feel really good about ourselves. But say, Uncle Joe, I should have named him Uncle Paul, because Uncle Joe, there's too many references to Joe Biden. But it's okay, Uncle Paul is on disability, hasn't worked in years. He feels socially excluded. However, he does have plenty of time to surf the internet for information about conspiracy theories, and he can chat online with others who hold similar beliefs. Thus, belief in conspiracy theories gives Uncle Paul a sense of community. And so furthermore, his research into conspiracy theories has given him a sense of that he's the holder of some sort of privileged knowledge. Most people who believe global warming is real or that vaccines are safe don't do so because they understand the science. Rather, they trust the experts. So when Uncle Paul starts trotting out all the evidence against global warming, it can be difficult to make a reasonable counter-argument. All you've got is the feeling that the conspiracy theory, too, seems complicated to be true. But from Uncle Paul's perspective, it's clear that he knows more about the subject than you do. So, in a sum, we have a great understanding of what motivates people to believe in conspiracy theories. That is, they do so because of three basic needs we all have that don't necessarily even apply to conspiracy theories all the time, or it's not speaking specifically to conspiracy theories. These things that we all possess, these three things, are across the board in everything we do. They do so because of those three basic needs we need to. Boy, I talk for a living, it seems, and I get messed up. The three basic needs we all have, which are to understand the world around us, to feel secure and in control, and to maintain a positive self-image. But do conspiracy theory beliefs actually help people feel satisfied? Does it satisfy these needs? And studies have found that when college students are exposed to conspiracy theories, they show an increased sense of insecurity. This has led some researchers to conclude that conspiracy theory belief is really self-defeating. It doesn't give you control or security at all. It doesn't give you a better understanding. It's an alternative to understanding something. As Douglas, who we mentioned earlier, and her colleagues pointed out, most college students have little motivation to believe in conspiracy theories in the first place. What's really needed, they argued, are some carefully designed studies that directly examine those who already believe in conspiracy theories. So regardless of the outcome of all these studies, the real question for us here and now is how to deal with the Uncle Pauls in our life. You may offer counter-evidence in an attempt to convince him to give up his conspiracy theories, but you're unlikely to be successful at that. And this is just because you're arguing facts while Uncle Paul is defending his sense of security and his positive feelings about himself. And for all of us, self-image trumps fact every time. And so these are the things that drive us into looking at conspiracy theories. But what makes them so appealing? Does belief in different conspiracies stem from a need to feel unique? I need to feel special. And you know what? I'll bet if I am special enough, I could have my own podcast. And I could draw people to listen to it. Coffee. My coffee's cold. I wonder why my coffee gets cold so fast. Maybe it's ghosts. You know how air gets... Maybe I'm drinking ghost coffee. Or a ghost has drunk my coffee and it's gotten cold. It couldn't be the amount of time. Hasn't been that much time passed, has there, since I poured that hot, steamy cup? So the truth might be out there, as Fox Mulder said, but there are lies that reside in your head. Terry Pratchett said it best. The truth may be out there, but lies are in your head. So what makes conspiracy theories so appealing? Whether we're talking about 9/11 being an inside job, the moon landings being faked, JFK's assassination being ordered by the CIA or the Mafia or Fidel Castro or the KGB, or the world being under the control of shape-shifting reptilian aliens, it seems as if there is someone out there who insists that these conspiracies are all true. Most inevitably, these conspiracy theorists also insist that, all capital letters, someone out there, such as the Illuminati, the New World Order, the Masonic Temple, Masons, you Masons. I know far too many Masons, and I have too many very dear friends who are Masons. So that's funny to me. Maybe it is to you too. But all these groups are suppressing the information that could prove that they're right. Entire industries have sprung up to support the various communities espousing this, or that theory, and no amount of tangible evidence seems capable of dissuading the true believers. And it seems as if every new world event spawns another conspiracy theory to add to the countless others that are already in place. So still, while these conspiracy theories might seem harmless enough, the consequences of these beliefs can be far more damaging than you might realize. Conspiracy theories relating to vaccines causing autism has led to a sharp reduction in vaccinations and a rise in otherwise preventable diseases. Why do you think we live longer lives in the late 20th and now the early 21st century? It's because of medical technological advance. Do vaccines? Now, of course, there are conspiracy theories out there, or conspiracies, or just theories that state vaccines are more harmful than they are helpful. Well, maybe our kids all don't die so young because we have vaccines. Maybe the vaccines are too much and there's too many. And maybe the viruses we're vaccinating against are mutating to overcome those. A process of evolution. And I'm not taking a position on that here. I'm just talking about these are the things that are presented to us. And for that matter, similar theories about fluoridation in drinking water. Remember that one? Climate change, alternative cancer treatments, all these things have led to sometimes very good things, but sometimes dangerous and often tragic consequences in the more recent years. So, recognizing the powerful attraction of conspiracy theories, I'm not talking necessarily about alternative medicine. I don't see that as a conspiracy theory. That's a spirituality, that is a tribal mode of doing something, so on. Push that aside. I'm talking about the conspiracy theories as opposed to alternative medicines and things like that. But psychologists have carried out numerous studies, and by the way, studies, there's no end to the making of studies. There's no end to government funding of studies. There's a conspiracy for you. But these numerous studies have tried to understand why some people are drawn to these beliefs. The research has found evidence that certain personality traits, such as Machiavellianism, openness to experience, narcissism, and low agreeability, seem especially high in conspiracy believers. And by the way, since I've mentioned it twice now, let's look up what Machiavellianism is, just so you get the idea. Let's see. I gotta type in a Machiavellianism. I don't remember how to spell it. All right, Machiavellianism is in psychology refers to a personality trait which sees a person so focused on their own interests that they'll manipulate, deceive, and exploit others to achieve their goals. Machiavellianism is one of the traits in what is called the dark triad, and the other two being narcissism and psychopathy, psychopathology. So, I've even got something here about the dark triad. The term dark triad refers to this trio of negative personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, which share some common malevolent features. And the construct was coined by researchers Delroy Paulus and Kevin Williams in 2002, and it's increasingly taken hold in the public imagination. And so that's something else. We might get to a little bit more about that. But talking about research that's finding that people who believe in conspiracy theories have certain personality traits, Machiavellianism being one of them, openness to experience, and narcissism. Low agreeability. These are things that rank high in conspiracy believers. They also show lower levels of analytical thinking and a tendency to see patterns in often unrelated events. So they're not very analytical thinkers. They have a tendency to see patterns, though, in unrelated events. But a new research article published in the Journal of Social Psychology suggests that conspiracy theories may also provide some interesting psychological benefits for people who choose to believe in them. According to Anthony Lentien of France's University Paris Nanterre, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not French. The Université Paris Nanterre, if that's how you say it. A Frenchman might go, ooh, mon Dieu, when I say something like that, but and his co-authors, Lentien's co-authors. Their people are drawn to conspiracy theories because of an underlying need for uniqueness. I need to be different. I don't want to be what everybody else is. It's like that's like emo goth kids. I dress this way because I want to be unique. I don't want to be like everybody else. But they're just like the other million goth kids out there. So in other words, a need to be different from other people by embracing beliefs that are out of the ordinary. This need for uniqueness can cause people to develop unusual hobbies or to seek out experiences that set them apart from the crowd. Conspiracy believers adopt unusual beliefs about the world that make them feel special or above average. And whether this involves embracing the truth behind political assassinations, alien visitors, the misdeeds of government officials, or secret scientific discoveries that ordinary people don't know about, embracing conspiracy theories can provide believers with this false sense of confidence over how the world really works. Now, we can't say that there aren't conspiracies behind high-profile assassinations, behind alien visitors, the misdeeds of governmental officials. We know secrets out there, secret societies and things. We know these things exist. But it's the belief in the unprovable that gives somebody this confidence as to, hey, come to me. I know how the world really works because I'm unique. And I know these things. So to test the hypothesis, Lantian and his research team conducted a series of studies that looked into different ways that need for uniqueness could predispose people to embrace conspiracy beliefs. In the first two studies they did, hundreds of participants were asked questions about their beliefs in popular conspiracy theories, the kind of research they did to support these beliefs, and how their beliefs was linked to the feeling of being unique. And what the researchers found was that people with a high level of conspiracy theory belief are more likely to believe they possess information that other people don't have. I've got the inside scoop. And as expected, they also showed a higher need to feel unique or special by possessing this information. There's the psychology behind it. I need to feel important. So people in high conspiracy beliefs were also more likely to reject conformity and to not follow the crowd. Now, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. Somebody's need to feel unique or special, maybe you could trace that down to some special needs this person has, or some issues that this person has. Does that mean the information is false? Not all the time. It's talking about their belief in it. In the third study that Lantin and his fellow researchers did, they presented 223 undergraduate students who were tested on their need for uniqueness and later assigned to one of two experimental conditions. The first condition involved being assigned a writing task involving an essay on the importance of individuality, while the second condition dealt with the importance of conformity. And this was intended as a way of manipulating need for uniqueness. And all participants then read a bogus newspaper story about a bus accident in Moldova, that may have been the result of a conspiracy, since 8 opposition politicians were killed in this bus accident. So though the participants in the individuality condition showed a greater tendency to believe in a conspiracy than the ones in the conformity condition, the difference was fairly minor. Still, there was some evidence that even induced need for uniqueness could make people more prone to believe in conspiracies. So study 4 was very similar, except using an experimental manipulation to make participants believe that having a need for uniqueness meant greater success later on. So overall, the 4 studies that were conducted showed strong evidence that the need to feel unique can often make people more likely to support conspiracy theories. But, and this is the important distinction, this only seems to apply when the conspiracy theory is only supported by a minority of people. Presumably, if most people believed in a particular conspiracy theory, the need for uniqueness might lead to someone rejecting the theory instead. They reject it because their need for uniqueness, that is their own particular little brand of narcissism, isn't appealed to if everybody else thinks the same thing. So Lantian and his co-authors point this out. And they also point out that there are limits to what can be inferred based on these study results, and more research is definitely needed. So one potential direction for new research comes from what's known as optimal distinctiveness theory, ODT, optimal distinctiveness theory, which suggests that our sense of social identity comes from the groups to which we see ourselves belonging. I look at the Intrepids over in the chat room here, Is there a desire to be part of a group that appeals to them? Yes. Do many of them interlink with each other and grow interpersonal, and they help each other out? We've got Rocky Stucci started along with some of the people in this group, started a GoFundMe for somebody for some medical treatment. These people start to care about each other. But this optimal distinctive theory says our social identity comes from the groups to which we see ourselves belonging. For conspiracy theories, however, one of the factors that makes the belief so strong may well be the sense of personal identity that comes from belonging to a particular group. I think, pardon my cough and my lack of cough button. I just used my voice very badly, and after this whole hour of talking, and my throat's dry, and my coffee's too cold to wash down the cough. So you got to deal with it, the dryness. So for conspiracy theories, one of the factors that makes the belief so strong might be the sense of personal identity that comes from belonging to a particular group. And the minority that knows what's really going on may cause them to reject any evidence that might shake that belief. And this can also cause them to look down on people who may not share their beliefs. In other words, the sheeple, who are easily fooled. So where do you happen to stand on all these issues in terms of the various conspiracy theories that happen to be out there? And why is this belief important to you? That's a question to ask yourself. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, that Intrepids are conspiracy theorists, because the Intrepid family really exists. This show really exists, and there's proof of it, there's evidence of it. But the need to belong to something that makes you feel unique or special, or as Teresa in our chat room has put forward, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. She brought up the old Cheers anthem from the old TV show as being a unique feature of this group. But conspiracy theories, what do you believe, why do you believe it, and where do you stand on these things? Ask yourself. And now we're out of time, so we got to go. We're going to be back tomorrow night, 23 hours from now. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back, so you sit tight.